This is the on-campus aviary that is operated by the Schubert Center. There aren't many centers like ours across the nation. We're a group of researchers and clinicians and students and staff members here that are all united by our interest in advancing avian health. These can be pet birds that someone owns in their house. These are communities of wild birds out in nature. We're interested in trying to understand what makes birds healthy. This aviary has opened the doors for all sorts of really cool research on bird health, as well as teaching and education on bird health.
It takes a lot of student power. Cage building, enrichment building, caring for the birds. They are our eyes and ears of what the birds are doing and how their health status is. It's like their first stepping stone into the real world.
In the case of vet students that come through and get a really unique opportunity to learn how to handle a bird, learn how to collect samples from a bird at this aviary, when otherwise they might not be able to get, those enriching experiences as part of their curriculum. Part of our mission here at the Schubert Center is really rooted in this idea called One Health. The health of humans, the health of domestic animals, the health of wildlife is all really intertwined in a broader context of ecosystem health. We can think about birds, and as they're moving across the landscape and they're migrating from one area to another, they're not just moving themselves. They might be moving pathogens with them. They might be moving viruses, parasites, things that might not necessarily make those individual birds sick, but things that we might want to know about from a public health perspective. When we take a step back and we understand that these emerging pathogens actually have likely been cycling in wildlife decades before they've emerged, we can really learn a lot if we understand the natural way that they're transmitted before they spill over and cause people to be sick. By getting out into the field and meeting those birds where they're at and sampling them, I think we can learn a lot about how they're responding to all those variations and fluctuations.
Strong ones. Oh, so pretty.
One part of what we do is put bands on birds. I've been doing that for about 5 years now. We can do so much with that information, especially long-term banding information. That data can be used to look at broad-scale changes in bird population. All stages of a bird's life cycle can really be informed by banding data. Birds I've banded in Michigan have been recaptured in Belize. So what I'm looking at in the wing is different generations of feathers. It's always exciting to get, recapture data back and just say, he made it, he made it down there, because it is really an amazing journey. Or multiple sizes would be best. You can see he's got a bit of room on the 3. Specifically, I'm here to get blood samples from these birds, and recently I've been looking to get fecal samples as well. With those 2 samples, I hope to look for the presence of neonicotinoids, which are a class of pesticides. Hold the wing like this. Birds eat a lot of insects. 2 first fingers. Following it up the food chain, we need to know the effects on birds. So then we'll do wheat. Having that long-term data set clues us into trends about climate change and how birds are adapting. You can, open the wings and look at those. Hi, bud. They're very clean, contrary to what some old wives' tales will say. We know we've done so much damage to this planet, and birds have suffered. Even though it can be a little bit dire when you're thinking about the totality of climate change and all the issues that biodiversity is facing right now, there are some really cool things happening in conservation, and people do really want to do what they can. Our research certainly can shine a light on some of those issues. Just seeing the abundances of what species I'm catching out here And, my rate of recapture, the age classes of different birds that I'm catching can really help inform other people's work as well. I know, almost free. We can use this data to just think about how we can ameliorate our presence on this earth and try to not stop human development, but at least understand what it's doing to birds. Sometimes they need a little puff of air to realize that they're free. He's gonna come scream at us now, so.